Hi there and welcome back to another video. And firstly, I would just like to say a massive thank you to everybody who's subscribed, liked, watched the live streams, basically interacted at all. We are almost at 1,000 subscribers. I can't quite believe it. So if you haven't subscribed and you want to be in the first 1,000, please do so. There's about 35 spots remaining. So yeah, thank you so much for that. And what I'd like to do in this video is basically update and show what's happened with my FIA season so far. So firstly, I'm going to look back at last week's FIA manufacturers. I picked Dodge as my manufacturer, and as you can see, my lobby contained Rory in it, and it was a very, very quick race, and I'm going to show you it right now, and it's not going to take long. I think my reaction in the camera says it all here. Yeah, it's quite painful actually watching this back, because I had done a little bit of practice, not a huge amount, didn't qualify very well in 16th, and 16th started me right on the corner of the dreaded chicane, and it was just going from bad to worse. I just couldn't get, I was just spinning out everywhere. And I absolutely lost all my cool. I didn't really thought about switching traction control on or anything. It was just an epic fail. You can see my reaction. I could have not bothered showing anybody this, but that's how I felt. You can see it. It was just, yeah, like I said. I think we've probably all been there at some point with this game. But that was it. I wasn't even bothering. I wasn't going to go again. I was quitting Gran Turismo after that. I was just getting rid of everything. But my wife, Mrs. Dell, she actually talked me back into just having another go and just trying again. And this time I started, didn't qualify much better, P17 this time. But this time I knew to put traction control on. It was actually from watching one of Tidgeon's stream later on that night that he started near the back and put traction control on. And it's just little things like that. When you've not got experience of FIA races, you don't think about these things, and I don't have a lot of FIA experience. This is my first full season of FIA races. I've done one or two here or there, but you know, in the grand scheme of things, I'm a relative newcomer to Gran Turismo Sport, so I thought, yeah, I'm going to try and commit to this FIA season, see how we get on. I mean, I'm not the fastest, I've never proclaimed to be the fastest, but you know, I'm always round about the sort of lower end of A+, with the ability to try and get up a bit. But yeah, that's just how we've managed to qualify thus far. Not great. Dodge wasn't great, to be honest with you, at this track. And as you can see, we kind of, well, we were going okay in this race, to be honest with you. In terms of, you know, we were keeping up with the pack in front with a certain Momo's fanboy in front of us, to be fair. But yeah, we were, you know, slightly more comfortable in the second race, although I knew I wasn't going to be able to really compete. But I thought maybe we could improve on our qualifying position, and I just at least wanted to finish a race, if nothing else, after the disaster of the first race. I didn't want to sort of just leave it on that note with a one and done rage quit. and yeah, so we go again and see how we can get on. So as you can see, we're following Momo's fanboy around. He's in the Porsche, and we've got the German behind us. I think he was in the Subaru maybe. So we managed to negotiate the chicane this time round, so that was at least something we managed to do. And we are being pursued by, as I said, the German coming into the first corner again. Kind of lost a little bit of ground, but you can see the German that's actually in the Jaguar, he completely overshoots the mark there, which gives us a little bit of a gap now. So Momo's fanboy is still the target ahead, and we've managed to break away a little bit from the position behind, so I'm feeling quite comfortable just getting into the race here, getting back into the slipstream. And as we approach the left-hander, you can see we are, as I said, we're comfortable now that we've managed to get into a decent position. So the slipstream, again, hugely important, especially particularly in this race when fuel saving, tyre saving was a big thing. We weren't ever going to be able to do the mythical no stopper that some of the people were doing in the Mazda. That just was never going to happen, so we decided we were just going to basically drive the race, just go flat out almost as such and see where it took us. So we're comfortable with that strategy. We're just going to drive until the tyres felt bad, which we expected around about lap 10, and we were just going to not bother with fuel. We would fuel up and see how we got on. So again, managing to come through the chicane, which is just a horrible section of track in general, but we negotiate it fairly well and find ourselves settling down now into the race. We've got, as I said, we've got a decent gap to the German behind us, and we have Momo's fanboy not really getting too far away in front of us, so we're hopeful. We can still see plenty of cars ahead of us, which was a big improvement on the first race. So this was the last race of the day as well. So this is the kind of everybody either who wasn't able to compete in any of the first four doing this one, or the people who were getting desperate now for points. And as I hadn't scored any, I certainly fell into that category. So you can see here though, we overshoot and end up in the gravel. Now, I must be one of the world's worst players for rejoining a track. It's just painful stuff. I lose all cool, I try and get back on it too quickly, and I spun off on the other side of the track, and again it was just painful stuff. But as you can see now, we are going to skip right ahead to near the end of the race because nothing really happened. All I did was try and catch back up with Momo's fanboy, which I did, and I go for the move down the inside, but he actually manages to hang his Porsche really well round the outside and gets the run out there, but he was really struggling on the tyre, so I knew I had the pace to get past him, and I thought, well, now's my opportunity. I've managed to catch right back up on him, and we've got no pressure from behind, so we send it up the inside there, and he turns in on us. I was maybe a little bit forceful, but he turned in on us knowing I was there, knowing I had the faster car with the better tyres, and I was just waiting for this. Watch the radar, and he just drives up into the inside of me in true Momo's fashion. I mean, now I understand why he's given himself the name of Momo's fanboy, but yeah, after that I didn't even want to go back and battle out with him and end up crashing out and spinning out the race, and yeah, I was just content to sit behind him. I thought, what's the point of battling that I have for P17? If he really wants it that much, he can have it. So that was what he got, and we finished the race, completed it. Again, it was actually a higher rated lobby than the first lobby that we were in, which contained Rory areas. So we scored 77 points, which is pretty poor. But I mean, the Spider-Man livery, that's really all it deserved, wasn't it? Because that is hideous. I just picked the first red, white and blue livery I could see. Speaking of which, moving on to this week's FIA. So can we get any, we're hoping to improve, make things a little bit better. So jumping straight into our qualifying lap for the race, and we can see we're door number 3. There were only, I think, 3 A+ A+ drivers in this race, and the rest were A rated. So we were one of the higher rated drivers in there. But again, I hadn't done really any practice at all beforehand. I'd done some practice laps, obviously, but I didn't know how the car would be on tyres. I didn't know, how it would be in slipstream. So it was really a bit of a guess. Actually, this was the second race of the day because we get disconnected from the first race, which was wonderful. So big shout out to Gran Turismo for that. I think a lot of people were experiencing problems with the servers all of yesterday, so yeah, something hopefully that they can fix going forward, because it's obviously a popular event when the FIA season starts, and I think this season more than ever seems to be busier. But qualifying here, we're trying to just get a tidy lap together, a banker lap, to see if we can, again, challenge somewhere in the front of the field. But I'm just not that comfortable at this track at the best of times. But we're hopeful we can get something decent going, and we come across the line for a 128.7, so that was good enough to qualify as in 10th spot. I did go, look at that livery by the way, thanks big time to Demo for actually designing that for me. It's got my own little logo on it and everything, but yeah, we qualified 10th, so that was probably as well as I could expected. And straight into the race here, you can see we're starting to make some inroads as we managed to get the move done on the Volkswagen in front of us at Big Manky Boy, so up to P9. But as is always the way with me, start of the next lap I overshoot the mark, and he, to be fair, obviously nearly overshot it as well, but I overshot the turn into turn 1, outbraked myself and immediately fell back to P10. So coming back into the next lap, again overshooting it slightly, but the Italian behind us makes a great move round the outside, to be fair to him in the Ferrari, so big shout out to him for that move. I didn't think he was going to be able to hang it round the outside, but he did. And moving further on in the lap, this is lap 4 now, we're right on the tail of the Italian, and you can see here we think about going up the inside, but he just manages to hold his car in front of him, back out, give him a bit of space, so we ease off here. But this is the kind of turning point in this race for me. You can see the Brit behind us, he just drifts into us and hits me wide, causing me to go left, onto the gravel. I lose 2 places, and now I'm about to lose a 3rd place, so I'm dropping all the way back there. I'm now into P14, and I'll be honest with you, I was absolutely livid, because it was just an overly aggressive move, and if somebody does that, you could let them pass, but he's not picked up a penalty, doesn't care. So, but you can see here he's very, very aggressive. He shoves this guy wide, and then he almost takes out the guy on the left hand side. So I go around turn 2, and to be honest with you, I just wasn't even too fussed about the fact that I aggressively went up the inside there and didn't give him a lot of room on the exit. I thought to myself, well, that's just the way he plays it. So, but here we go into Big Banky Boy. Now, I don't know, let me know what you think of this. I was absolutely shocked at how quickly the brakes come on there, and I pick up a 2-second penalty. But if you look back on it, you'll see I did everything I could to avoid the Porsche, and then I was just shocked at how slowly they were going round Big Banky Boy. It just caught me out. It wasn't a lunge, it was just desperately trying to avoid taking them out. Unfortunately, I didn't quite do it, but you can see the same player, the Portuguese guy, again, he brakes so heavily into Big Banky Boy, and the Greek player behind him, so the Ukrainian player behind him picks up a 1-second penalty as well, because he went into the back of the guy round Big Banky Boy. So I actually thought to myself, it made me feel a bit better, because I thought, well, I didn't outbrake myself, they just went really slowly there round Big Banky Boy. You can see that I pick up another spot there, so I was down at P16, I pick up a spot as the player in the car went off on the left, and I'm up to P15 now. As we're going back round Big Banky Boy now, lap 9, halfway through the race, somebody else going off at Big Banky Boy, so we're now back up to P14, so not all is lost. And we can still see plenty of cars up ahead, so at this point I'm just thinking to myself, it's damage limitation, see if we can get anything done. So we're going into the final sector, and we make a nice move up the inside, and fair play to the German, he gives us the space, and that's the difference between how I overtook there and how the Brit overtook me. I made sure I just wasn't going to drift wide and not make contact. So you can see up ahead now, the Brit who caused me the problems is now serving a penalty, and I thought for a second he was going to try and take me out, so I was going past, but he never. Incidentally, that Brit, he rage quit. He didn't finish the race because he was obviously getting penalties and causing problems all over the place. So, if you're going to race hard like that, especially in FIA races, you're going to come against people who are prepared to do the same back to you. So lap 12 now, round Big Banky Boy. We're making up some ground now, up to P11 here, as we get a good run on the Porsche, who was actually a very quick driver, and you can see we are now well and truly into the slipstream of P10, but the Porsche driver makes an aggressive move up the inside and just kind of shoves me a little bit out and shoves his way through. And again, I wasn't overly impressed by that move, but at this point, you know, what can you do? And I'm just to add rub salt into the wounds, I've picked up a half a second penalty, because it kind of, that sector, you'll know when you're driving it, if you make it, basically if you go wide, it's really difficult to get back onto the racing line. The track limit penalties are so severe at that point as well. So yeah, we're now back down to P13, and we are basically going to have to try and do the work all over again. But you can see the Ukrainian in P12 runs really wide there, gets onto the grass, so I think, yep, now's the time to go for this, because he's going to have dirty tyres going into turn 1. So we managed to go up the inside and get the move done, so back up to P12, which is nice, and we make it stick this time, and you know, no major issues in terms of holding on to that. As you can see, we're going to come across the line now, P12, and yeah, not great starting P10, finishing P12, but at one point I think we were down at P17 or P16, so it could have been worse.
Surprise me if we didn't.
But yeah, 129 points, so it's not great, but it was an improvement on round 1, which was
improvement, 129
massive 77 points. So small victories, we'll try and take the positives. But we did decide to go again, and the next slot we were able to do was the last slot of the evening. I had some baby walking duties, etc. to deal with first. So here you can see this was my qualifying lap, and I was actually going pretty well with the qualifying lap until I got to that point of the lap again, and the track limits got me, so I bailed out. So I managed to then go out and set another lap, and I had to obviously set a lap time because I didn't have a lap set, so I was under pressure, but I managed to get a lap set, and there you go, we started in P14, so straight into the race, no messing about. There's not a huge deal to show you in this one, but there you can see we managed to pick up a place going into P13 when somebody was serving a penalty, and again, Porsche driver in front here, we go round Big Banky Boy, a little bit of contact, but I managed to get out his way, not when I'm off. You can see in the radar, we didn't cause him to lose any speed or anything like that, but we managed to get the move done there up into P12, and you can see there's a lot of cars in front now that we can battle with. But skipping forward to P6, we've got the Porsche, no, it was the Corvette driver. We actually had a really nice race with this guy. He was a really clean racer, we evenly matched pace wise, so he gets up ahead of us into P13. But yeah, this was a stronger lobby because this was all A+ drivers in this lobby, and I was door number 19, as you can see, so I wasn't overly expecting anything brilliant from this race, but from the points table I knew that I had to finish at least P12 to improve, so that was my goal, trying to finish P12. And you can see here, again, we managed to get up the inside of the Corvette. Again, yeah, very clean driver, and you know, again, an example of how you make the overtake at that position on the track. But as is always the case, I managed to let somebody back in the door, making a few mistakes, and he gets the job done there, and gets it done round turn 1 and turn 2. So we're back down to P13, which was disappointing because, as I said, I really did need P12 or better. But we started working with the Corvette, but I made an absolute schoolboy error here, getting the power down too early and running out. Then you can see from the camera just how I felt reaction wise to that. It was just an absolute idiot move. We had no pressure from behind. We were doing actually all the work. We were bump drafting the Corvette. We were catching the group in front because I felt like there was a top 10 position, and you know, there for the battle anyway. But we, as I said, absolute schoolboy error and lost the slipstream. Now, when you lose the slipstream in this race, it's practically race over from that point of view. So we basically just had to knuckle down and try and see if we can make up some sort of position, because, like I said, P12 was the goal in this race, just purely down to the fact that it was going to score us 130 plus points, so that was going to be an improvement on the previous race, which, as I said, we only got 129 points for. So really, so far back here, I'm just thinking, I need somebody to bin it. I need somebody to make a mistake, crash, do something like that, and that would be, and I'm going to be close enough to pick up the pace, the spot. So even though I was kind of out of the battle, you kind of need to kind of stay on it with your laps, just to try and, if somebody's serving a 1 second penalty, 2 second penalty, you can capitalise on it. So that was, as I said, the goal. And you can see we're kind of making up a bit of ground here, not a lot, but there's plenty of cars in front, and you can see the Corvette in P12, he's right on the back now of P11, and we go wide again here, just a stupid mistake, and that was kind of symptomatic of how I drove. It was good, it was decent for the most part, but yeah, there was some stupid errors in there as well. So as you can see here, we are coming around Big Banky Boy, and the yellow flag is out, and I am hoping against hope, and we pick up the position as somebody bins it on the right, and we are now in P12. So that kind of, I almost felt as if it took the pressure off a little bit, and we cruised home in P12 and picked up our 136 points. Again, not great, not a great start to the FIA season at all, but I could have decided not to bother showing any of this, and just did the live streams and whatnot. But I mean, I'm not out here proclaiming to be the fastest, but I do like to show people what is happening and the realities of FIA and the frustrations that it can cause, because I'm sure we all have them. I'm sure 99.9% of us end up frustrated with our races, and the way that we drive at times, and the behaviour of other players, and so on and so forth. But yeah, we managed to hold ourselves together enough to get that P12. So 2 P12 finishes, one gaining slightly more points than the other. So we'll take that, and we'll move on to the next race. So again, I just want to say thanks again to everybody who's been watching, subscribing, liking the videos. I'm sorry that the content hasn't been as regular recently. I've got a young baby who's teething, so we're going through all the rigmaroles of that at the moment, and I'm just trying to fit in this alongside working. So yeah, a big thank you once again. So if you obviously haven't yet liked or subscribed to the channel, then please consider doing so and help us get to that 1,000. We are so close. But I'll see you all on the next video.